Hello, and welcome to another edition of In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr., the head of JLJ Media here on YouTube and all your audio streaming podcast systems. I'm everywhere. And we also like to feature authors. They have new books. And this new book, it's a title. So hold on, kids. It's a title. The Art of Womanhood, teaching your man how to love you the way you want to be loved without him knowing he's being taught. Book one. And the person behind it is a pastor. And we've been trying to do this interview for a while, so I'm finally glad we get to do it now. It's Pastor Frank E. Legette III. How are you doing, Pastor Frank?
I'm good, James. A pleasure, absolute pleasure. I love your energy. I love high energy people. I feed off people. You are a kindred spirit, my brother. Thank you.
Yes. Well, we're living life. That's what we're doing. We're living life.
That's right. That's right.
We're doing it. Now, I want to ask you first of all, because I'm a junior and you're a third.
Yes.
So I ask people who are part of the Suffix gang,
Yes.
what does being the third mean to you?
It means longevity. It means longevity. It means legacy. Let me share this history with you. I just shared it with someone this morning. And I am so proud of this. My family on my dad's side, we go 7 generations all the way back to slavery of fathers who have raised their children in an unbroken succession.
Okay.
All the way back to, so my son is raising his children. They're the 7th generation. He's the 6th. I'm the 5th. My dad, and then my grandfather, and then great-grandfather, and then great-grandfather was a former slave, all the way back to slavery. And so my grandfather's Frank, my dad is Frank, and obviously I'm Frank. Now, when I had my son, he must have been about 5 or 6 years old, and he kind of went to my wife and said, "I want to be Frank." I said, under no circumstances, because I had a cousin in Chicago who was Frank A. We're Frank E. And then his daughter, we called her Frankie. Her name was Frances. We called her Frankie. I said, cut, enough already.
Enough Franks.
Enough Franks. There are other names that we can find. So no, I stopped it right there.
I love it. That's so funny. No, I get it. I mean, my father's James Sr., but on my mother's side, there's 3 Roberts. They're all 3 in a row. So I mean, I get it. I totally get it. It's part of our professional names. Right? That's something that I'm James Lott Jr. and everything. So
Absolutely.
James Lott Sr., so I love it. But that's very cool though, especially for a Black family and Black history. That's very cool. You had that experience.
Yeah.
The experience. All right, so let's get to the book. So the book. Now I want to ask you. I'm going to ask you an open-ended question.
Sure.
And I know you'll answer it because I know you will. Is this book mansplaining, or is it inside information for women, or is it an extension of what you do as a pastor? Like those three things have come up. And I mentioned this book to a couple people. Those 3 things came up, and I go, I want to ask you if it's one of those 3, all of them, none of them. What is this book for you for the women?
It's a combination of all 3. It's a combination of all 3. Now, there are a gazillion awesome female life coaches in this country and around the world, right? And they're awesome at what they do. But there's not one of them that can do what I do from an experiential level, because they've never spent a day as a man. Okay? So you really don't know how we think, in Steve Harvey's book and film notwithstanding. You can't think like a man. You really cannot, right? So what I do is I explain to women why we do what we do, when we do it, how we do it, and what you need to do to get to get to where you want and need to be in that relationship. So it's a win-win for the both of you. And so, so I use that in my ministry. I also use that, and I've been pastoring for 40 years. So I'm long, James, I'm long in the tooth. So, so yeah. I just last month,
Black don't crack though. Black don't crack though. So.
Hey, Black don't crack, James, every day of the week, my friend. I just turned 70 years of age last month.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed 70. I wouldn't have. I'm 54. I wouldn't have guessed 70. I would have not.
Yeah.
So I figure it's probably a little bit of all of that.
Yes.
Now, have any men been like, why are you telling our business? Did anybody come to you like that, or no? We're good.
Actually, when I did a coaching program. I was living in Orlando, and it's really where my ministry just went to the next level. I did because I was doing individual stuff, but in Winter Park, Florida, right outside of Orlando, I did my first coaching program, my first group of women, and there was a husband who came to me. And he said, Pastor, I want to thank you. My wife is a changed woman since you guys have been meeting. So I've never had any man come, because my goal is to provide women with a skill set that is designed to turn her man on and take their relationship into the stratosphere. It is designed to create a win-win. Because see, here's the problem. And I am a prime example, James. When I married my wife, Angela, 30 plus years ago, I was a mess for the first 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Okay. And I will tell you, in fact, Angela was my second wife. Okay. She passed away 2 years ago to COVID, okay? My first wife, Beverly, I loved the ground she walked on, but she would say to me, I want to spoil you. I want to pamper you. And James, I literally would look up to heaven and say, OMG, I've gone to heaven and didn't realize it. And I thought that it was my responsibility just to lay back in the cut and allow her to love me the way she wanted to love me, because I concluded that she derived pleasure by giving pleasure. So all that she was giving to me, I was not giving back to her in return. And she got frustrated, went into a relationship, left me with the kids, and never came back home. Right? And so I, knowing that, I loved being married. Like I said, I loved the ground she walked on. I wanted to be married again. And I did meet this incredible woman, Angela, but I wasn't cured. And so I was headed down the same road. And so until she stuck her finger in my face, because I was complaining to her, you don't do this, you don't do that right, it's not enough sex, you don't do this right, it's not enough sex, you don't do that right, it's not enough sex. Same old story, James, right?
Right.
And she stuck her finger in my face and said, look, I'm not the priest, you're the priest. If you lead, I will follow. And I went home and I fell in my closet and I talked to the Lord. I said, Lord, okay, if I'm going to be here, you're going to have to teach me how to love her the way she wants to be loved. And he took me into the word, and I discovered the blueprint for marital and relational happiness. And then he sent me mentors and role models who mentored me, who lived the example. I began to watch them. I didn't ask questions. I just began to watch them, and I began to learn. I began to implement that stuff. So I have become the best version of myself that I've ever been. So I have something to share with women, because I know where many of you are. I was a knucklehead. In the relationship. I was, James. No ifs, no ands, no buts. But you know what? And I can be transparent, because you can't get help when you're lying to yourself. I wanted to be better. And when I was an idiot, My wife was in and out of the hospital because she was living in a toxic marriage with a toxic man, and it was driving her blood pressure through the roof. And I really didn't want to kill my wife. That's not why I married her. So I knew I had to change. And James, when I began to learn, and when I changed, her health changed. When her health changed, our marriage changed, and our happiness began to go that way. So I have something to offer. I'm not teaching theory. I'm sharing what I have lived, the mistakes that I've made that I want them to avoid.
Well, you know what's funny, Pastor Frank? A lot of things that you're saying about men, because we're men, right? I know everything you're saying. I know that. I know I wasn't the greatest when I was younger in the past, and I can admit that. But I think a lot of men, you're right. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Some don't, like you said, some are lying to themselves. They know, why can't I get somebody? Why can't I keep anybody? But a lot of us do know what we're doing, but we have to get help. But also on the other side of this, the partners on the other side are going, I can't take this anymore. I mean, like, what am I supposed to do? And so I guess this book is something like, okay, well, let me show you some of the things you can do to possibly from your experience, right? That's what it is, isn't it?
Absolutely. So my thing is, look, statistics are clear that 50% of first marriages end in divorce. It is 70 to 80% of second and third marriages that end in divorce. And guess what? Those statistics are identical in the Christian church. Right? So my point is, individuals are throwing in the towel on marriages and relationships that can be restored and can be resuscitated. But they don't have the tools. Nobody, look, James, there is no class other than the one that I teach on what to do to revive or resuscitate a dead or dying marriage, right? And nobody teaches you what to do. So when Bev was in the relationship, my first wife, and she was running around with this guy, James, I promise you that everything I did was wrong, and it pushed her into his arms, and she left and never came back. Why? Who the heck knows what to do when your wife is cheating, when your spouse is cheating on you? Nobody knows what to do. So what we think we need to do 99.9% of the time is going to be wrong, and it's going to make the situation worse. So what I have, if people go to my website, theartofwomanhood.org, you will see, as you scroll down, you will see that for women, I have a 12-week course where I provide them with tools how to, if they're single, what to do if you don't have a man, how to attract the right guy, what you do when you get one, or if you're married, here's what you need to do. And I have a particular technique, James.
Tell me.
For individuals who are married, and if anything can revive and resuscitate a dead or dying relationship, this will, it has. Now, I didn't learn this until after my marriage was already gone, right? Bev was already gone, right? I learned, I said, oh man, if we had this sooner. I've seen when I teach it to women, if it's not too late, because a relationship can pass the point of no return. It really can, right? But if it's not too late, I've seen miraculous stuff happen, James, in minutes, because they know what to do and what to say, but more importantly, they know what not to do and what not to say. I provide them with life-changing techniques that provides them with a skill set they didn't have previously.
We do. Man, that whole back in the day, men are for this and we do think differently, don't we? Men and women, we're raised differently.
Yes.
Society talks to us differently, and we are different, aren't we?
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's something about that I tell people all the time. You can't tell a dude to think this certain way because you're a chick or whatever. You can't do that. It's like we have a whole other outlook that's not any of that. We have a different outlook. We
No,
walk
we
the
do.
earth differently. We walk the
Yeah,
earth.
we are wired differently. We are raised differently. There's different standards in the same house for males and females.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I know it was cute. It made Steve Harvey a ton of money, but it ain't accurate. This is not a woman on the planet who can think like a man.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because Dr. James Gray said men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Right.
We really do think differently.
We do. No, we do. I agree with that. It's funny because I grew up in a household where my father left when I was like 10. And it was like suddenly I was told, you're the man of the house now, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, and my sisters weren't told that. They didn't say you're the mom of the house. Like, they didn't say that. They were just like, I was told that. So I grew up alongside my sisters, but it was a different mindset. And it carried over into adulthood, like it carried over. So I agree with you. And certain generations of boys were kind of anorexic emotionally, where girls are allowed to be emotional on some level, and we aren't. And so you're right. So you have to have. So of course it's going to be this. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you: does it cross age barriers? Is this information that can fit for any age?
It really is. I have clients in their teens.
Okay.
I have clients in their 70s.
Okay.
Because these are timeless, James, these are timeless principles that when you put them to work, they're gonna work for you. Right? And and age really does not matter if you're in a relationship, these things, because we function in certain ways. There are certain things that when they come to me and they talk to me and say, okay, here's what I'm recommending. Because look, James, I've been a dude a long time, James. I've been James.
70 years, so yeah.
James, I've been around the block 70 times. You know why I say that? Because that's exactly how old I am. So I know, I understand why we're doing what we're doing, when we're doing, how we do it, or why not. And so I'm able to counsel them from that perspective, and it's life-changing for them.
Yeah. And you're coming from the truth. You're not trying to, excuse my language, bullshit anybody. You're like, here's the deal.
Right.
I know this. I know when I did this, it didn't work. I know when I did that, that worked. Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that because I know so many women who do worship their men, and the men just sit back and don't do anything. Barely anything. They say that, but barely. And they wonder why the girls leave. Or why they're so bitchy to them, or what's going on. It's like there are roles you both can play that are wonderful, right? Isn't the point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And look, and here's what I say to women all the time, especially single women. I tell them, when you're dating, you meet this guy, he's tall, tall, handsome, gorgeous, right? Yes. I say, now, you can wine him and you can dine him and you can put Pampers on his butt in the dating process. But I guarantee you, if you make those mistakes while you're dating, you are going to have to do that if it goes to the altar, because that has become his normal. And he's going to expect you to function like that. He's going to expect you to do that. That becomes his new normal. And he wants you to perform that way. And when you don't, he's going to ask, well, what the heck is wrong with you? You did this all this time. And now you want to change on me? What's your problem? And then you got problems.
Pastor,
right?
You're speaking the truth of how this is good for anybody out there. We are training people how to treat us.
Right.
That's just number one. And you're right. I've had friends go, well, I cooked him for you, and then he got married, and I don't cook anymore. Well, he thought you cooked.
Absolutely.
The date, it's like you wooed him in during the
Yeah.
dating process. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you in here, but then you're like, I got him now, I'm done. Like, well,
Right.
that's why.
Absolutely.
And men, we're visual. So if you're gonna be put together all the time and don't show us any other sides, then we
Right.
get married or get a relationship, and you're like,
Then you don't care about yourself
right,
anymore.
right.
I tell the sisters, look, go get your hair done. Go buy you some new dresses, some new outfits,
Yeah.
right? Go to the dentist, get your teeth clean, have your breath smelling fresh, and nice. Put some cologne on. Why? Because you need to continue to do to keep him what you did to get him. Because you want to go this way. You don't ever want to start going that way.
That's such a, and men, we're not that complicated. Not really. There are several things we all like, and that's just about it. And we
Right.
know what they are. We know what they are. I'm like,
right.
feed me and things can happen, whatever, and then
Absolutely.
things can happen. I mean, a lot of men would be very loyal. Yes, I want to put out there, yes, there are disloyal men and dishonest. We know that. But I'm talking about the average guy. There are a lot of guys who are, they want someone and they will totally be loyal to you if several things happen at the same, as your book is saying, at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The average typical guy never walks down the aisle after having spent all the money that we spend. I mean, the typical marriage today, James, is $20,000-$30,000. That's what it costs for the typical wedding, right?
Yep.
Nobody walks down the aisle after having spent that kind of money and then decides while they're walking down the aisle, you know what? I'm gonna cheat on this hussy the first chance I get. She has no idea what's coming. Nobody's thinking that. The problem is this: both individuals during the course of the marriage is going to grow and change. Both of them. The only question is this: are the two of you going to grow this way and grow together, or are you going to grow that way and grow apart? Because you're not consistently doing what you were doing when you first met. You couldn't talk to each another enough. You couldn't keep your hands off each other. You couldn't be with each other enough. All of that stuff, and then all of a sudden you get married and life takes over. And I understand that. Most people, you got to work. The husband and wife has to work, keep a roof over, whole 9 yards. I understand all of that, but you still have to make time for your relationship. And if you don't grow this way, you are going to grow that way. And inevitably, for many couples, what ends up happening, they wake up years, if not decades down the road, and they wake up one morning and they look over in the bed and say, oh my gosh, who are you? How'd you get in here?
Yeah.
Who are you? And they become perfect strangers because they don't spend any time together.
No.
That's a tragedy.
I'm so glad you're saying this, because I try to tell people this. I'm like, I've several people in my life who have long-term relationships when they're from high school to into their 50s.
Yeah.
And they'll say what you say. They go, we're not the same person we were at 18 or 25 or 35. Like, none of us is. I mean, nobody's the same as they were. So you have to allow for that in your relationship. I'm so glad you're saying that. You have to allow for that in your relationship, but you have to make a conscious effort to still communicate, right? That's number one. Communicate and still find a way to come together while you're allowing your partner to grow and change. Absolutely. And hopefully you'll grow together. But some people go, well, I don't know what happened after 10 years, right? Because you're not talking, you're not participating, right? That's what it is, you're not participating.
Absolutely. You've gotta be able to spend time. You need to have, I recommend to all my clients, especially for those who are married, right? Got to do date night.
Oh yeah.
Once a week. Put time aside. Get a babysitter, just the two of you. I don't care if you get a babysitter and the two of you stay in your room and you pull out a picnic blanket and you sit on the floor and then you do whatever you want to do. I don't care, but you got to spend some time just the two of you, number one. Number two, I highly recommend that you find some good books about marriage and relationships that's going to feed the two of you, and read them together so that you are learning and you are growing together. The key is growing together and not growing apart. And then look, by all means, in African Americans, we're terrible at this.
Yeah.
We don't take vacations the way we should. One thing I love about Caucasians know how to make money. Caucasians know how to spend money, and they know how to go on vacations.
Oh my God, Pastor Frank, I have to admit this. I have to admit this. Back in the day, it was a white person. My white boss made me take my first vacations in my 30s.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't take them. My whole thing was, I gotta work.
Right.
If I leave, I mean, I'm important. We make ourselves super important. And you're right. I didn't grow up taking vacations. We didn't go on trips with my family. Like, you went to
Never.
You went to like a family on the summer. You went to your grandmother's house or whatever. But like, we didn't go on like long trips together. I had none. So for me, it took me to my 30s, Pastor Frank. And I said, wait a minute. I earned these vacation days.
Absolutely.
So, and yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, that was a shot directly at me. I felt it, Pastor Frank. I felt it. But you're right. Our culture, we're not taught. We're taught you have to work. You have to work. You have to work. Maybe when you retire, then you travel all over the place. But you gotta live life now.
My dad, James, worked for General Motors for 30 years.
Wow. Oh, General Motors. Okay.
He took one vacation, and we never left the street.
Dang.
Right. And my mother had to force him to do that. I didn't know what a vacation was.
I understand. I totally get it.
Right. And so no, we need to learn how to do these things. It's growing together. And then you're passing on a legacy to your children. You're modeling to them what they need to do when they get in, when she meets, your daughter meets Mr. Right and your son meets Mrs. Right, and they get married and start having their children. Here's what you need to do because I've modeled that to you.
I say it all because I have adult children, I have grandchildren. My sister, I said, kids absorb everything. We did, right? I know my parents were going where they were going to do.
Absolutely.
We absorb everything. You're right. It's our job to model for them the positive, all the stuff. So when because they do mirror their upbringing. They do. They mirror what they see, what they know.
Absolutely. They're watching everything. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and we emulate the behavior that we grow up with, good, bad, or indifferent. Because it's what we see, and it's from the individuals that we love.
Yeah, that's very true. No, it's very true. So I always tell, and I think it's important. I'll make sure I say this. I think it's important I'm a girl dad. I had girls. I didn't have boys. So but for me still though, it was very important. They had their mother, and they had me. They need to see both sides. Girls need to have good fathers and good mothers, and sons need good mothers and good fathers.
Yes.
So I think it's both. I think it's because a lot of people go, well, your sons need fathers, mothers need. I get that. That part is the same, but the other side is true too. When a girl sees their father is attentive and good, and all stuff, then the men they attract may be better.
Absolutely. So here's the problem with us, and I love my people. I love my culture.
Oh, of course you do. I mean, that's what I'm wearing. I love my people.
Absolutely. But here's the problem with us, unfortunately, James. Statistics are that in our community, in the African American community, 70% of children grow up in a home without a father.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Right. So that means 7 out of 10 kids are missing the other half of the picture that they need to have. And so what we all need to understand is we get one half of the picture that we need to be the adult that we ultimately are going to be from each of our parents. So the son looks at his father and hopefully he should see an incredible work ethic and see a man who loves his mother and cherishes his mother and treats his mother with love and affection, is affectionate to his mother. So he's getting a picture from his dad how to treat a woman. He's also getting a picture from his dad how to keep a roof over the head and food on the table and how to provide for a family. From his mother, he's looking and seeing from his mom and getting a picture of the kind of wife that he ought to be looking for, the characteristics of a good woman, how a good wife treats her husband, how she responds to her man, the kind of mother a good wife should be, how she deals with her children. His picture is complete when he has both. And the daughter gets the same thing from both mother and father. If one of them is missing, and in our community, it's the dad. Yeah. One half of the picture is missing. So when we go into relationships, we go in and it's trial and error. And unfortunately, because we don't have a picture of what it looks like, it's more error than trial. And so immediately our relationships, after the wedding honeymoon wears off, the relationship goes into turbulence, and then nobody is given the skills how to correct a dead or dying relationship, so it ends up on a trash heap, which means divorce. And a lot of that stuff can be changed.
Yeah, because you know this, and a lot of the same behaviors, you can't run from yourself. So a lot of the same behaviors will go into the next relationship and the next one and the next one, unless you learn something. You said you learned something, but like other folks, they don't. They think, oh, it's just, I'm dropping that one, I'll go to somebody else. Well, you're doing the same thing.
Well, look, James, that's exactly what I said earlier. The mistakes I made with Bev, I started making again with Angela, and the same result was taking place. And I was headed for the same kind of disastrous relationship or results until God tapped me on the shoulder and said, dude, what are you doing? He slapped me in the face. What are you doing? And I had to change. And when I changed, she changed. And when she changed, we changed. And our relationship began to go that way.
There you go. I'm at it there. I think it's a great ending. That's what this book's about. You're showing women, you do your part, men will step up and do their part, and then you do your part too. Pastor Frank, you are a gem. You are a gem. You're hilarious too. I love it. But I love it. The book is called The Art of Womanhood, Teaching Your Man How to Love You the Way You Want to Be Loved Without Him Knowing He's Being Taught. Book 1. And it's out. You go to Amazon, you go to Books or So, it's out there, it's there. Run, don't walk. You get on your phone, your tablet, whatever. Give it as presents. It is Christmas time. Give it as presents to the women you know in your life. And it comes from a God-centric place also, a scripture place. I love that also. So there's an added bonus for you. There you go. And there's things that you do there. So thank you, Pastor Frank Legette, for being on my show.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the persistence. You hung in there with me. I thank you. I pray that all is well in the family.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you. We're getting there. So thank you.
We're getting there. Good. Good.
Good. I believe in God. So God's taking care of it. So
amen. Amen.
I'm James Lott Jr. Oh, actually, if they want to follow you and all your church, all this church, everything, where can they follow you?
So they can go to, of course, my website is theartofwomanhood.org. And on YouTube, it's Grace Tabernacle Seventh-day Adventist Church. Grace Tabernacle Seventh-day Adventist, ADVENTIST Church on YouTube. You can follow me there.
Okay, and I'll put those in the bottom of the description.
Okay.
So you guys can follow that. And you can follow me.
Hey, James. Yes. James, I have a lifelong friend in James Lott Jr.
You do. We're connected now. We're connected. We're in the same village.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, as you see, I believe in that kind of stuff. So we're in the same village.
Absolutely.
We're totally saying, I'm a man of God also. We're in the same village. We're good. We are good. And I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me everywhere where James Lott Jr.'s are. There's only one, it's me. Follow me everywhere. And also in between the pages, seriously, support writers, authors, support arts, support each other, support Black business.
Amen.
Support it all. And we'll see you next time.